All right, here we are in ninth grade lit. We just checked, what did we just check? We just checked questions if people didn't have them. We haven't written a journal today, so we are on page 147.
On that stuff that's there, is
Yeah.
that for today?
No, this is, I kept it up here because, and I'll move this. I kept it up here because, why did I keep it up here? Because it was the dream. These are Charlemagne's two dreams, and we've read that, I think, haven't we? Haven't we read this?
Yes.
Okay.
We need to write it down.
It was, if anything, a good rule of thumb is if a teacher puts something on the board, you probably should write it down. Because the teacher's gonna remember it, because it was so important, he wanted you to see it, not just tell you. So we are on 181. I'm gonna start, and maybe Ben can start after that. It's been several days, so I need to look back. Remember, they've just defeated the army of Marsilian. How did the majority of them die?
Being drowned.
And why is that ironic?
Because Ganelon told Charlemagne that the Marsilian's men, most of his men drowned, and then he was like, okay, I believe you, and then they actually did drown.
Yeah, I believe that Scripture even teaches this, that one of the basic rules of life, it's built in, it's baked into what we call life, is the idea of, a fancy word, retributive justice. In other words, if you do something bad, a sin or something, particularly if it's unrepented, the punishment will look very much like the sin. That's what all of Dante's Inferno is based on. Every punishment in Dante's Inferno is based on the sin itself. Did I mention that? Did I mention that?
Mm-hmm.
How the lusters, people that lust, they go to that second circle of hell, they get blown around. So lusting is kind of like being carried away by your desires. And so guess what? In hell, they get carried away literally by the wind. The people that, now in Dante, eating too much in the Middle Ages was considered a sin. Gluttony, we don't consider that a sin. It's definitely could be a problem, but it's not a sin. But people that ate too much and were selfish, didn't share, in hell, they live in mud, which is sort of symbolic of food looks great on earth and happy, but in hell it's just the opposite. You're always alone instead of eating with people, and instead of food you're surrounded by mud and rain and misery. People who betray others on the other end of hell, the very pit of hell, instead of it being hot at the pit of hell in Dante, it's frozen because their hearts are frozen. They have cold hearts toward people. They had no pity on people. They betrayed people. And so hell is that almost made concrete, I wouldn't say personified, but So anyway, I think that's what that principle is. So let me start 181. It's all over, they think, the battle with Marsilian is. When Charles sees all the Paynims dead, cast out, some of them slain and the greater part drowned, on whose rich souls his chivalry can count, the noble king from his charger dismounts and gives God thanks, kneeling upon the ground. When he arises, he finds the sun gone down. The emperor says, "'Tis time to camp, I trow, to Roncesvalles, too late to turn back now, because our horses are jaded and tired out. Unloose the saddles, take the bits from their mouths, let them go graze these meadows all around." The French reply, "Sir, your advice is sound." So they think it's all over. If you remember the dream, they've been warned, Charlemagne, that it isn't over. There's a new threat that's going to be coming. But they don't even go back to Roncesvalles. They chase the army to the river, they chase the army of Marsilian, and they just stay there overnight. Then they'll go back to Roncesvalles. So Ben's going to start at 182. And he asked about which questions. What question are we? Have we looked at the sword yet? No, we have. Oh, goodness. Sorry. I'll have something very valuable. I'll let you see it tomorrow. I was gonna show you today. It's in the car, so it got that far, but it didn't get far. All right, so we're on question number 62, 63, Ben.
Okay. 182, right?
Yeah.
The emperor now in his encampment set, in open country afoot are all the French. He freed their horses from saddle and from belt. Their golden bridles they looked loose from their heads, and let them run where grass grows thick in front. That is as much as they can do for them. Whoso is weary has made the earth his bed, and for that night they post no sin.
Just a little thing, but they're so confident that they're safe. What do they not do?
They post a guard.
That's ridiculous. Every military base in the world has guards on it. You would never do that, but because they feel like it's over, they don't do it.
Wait, what was 61?
Yeah, 61. What was the miracle, which we wrote about last week? What was the miracle that God granted to Charlemagne? He asked specifically for it, yeah.
The sun stayed still so they could fly over, I guess.
Yeah, so the sun for practically a whole day, that's in the Bible. I don't know how long it was here, but the sun, we said that's a great example of a miracle because it's impossible. God doesn't do miracles that can be explained away by physical evidence because it denies physical laws. The sun, the earth cannot stop rotating and everything just be fine. But God did it. To me, that proves that it's a miracle, not disprove it. All right, so here we go to Taylor.
In a green meadow, the Emperor Charles is laid. Beside his head his mighty spear is blazed. Will not at that night put off his array. He's clad in hauberk of shining saffron mail. Hath on his head the gold gem helmet lace, and the girt about him joyous his peerless blade. That changes color full 30 times a day. You know the lance, for oft you've heard the tale, which pierced our Lord when he on cross was slain. Carlin possesses the lance blade. God be praised. And the gold pummel he's had its shrine encased. And for to honor such favor and such grace, the sword of his is called Joyous by name. Barons of France can scarce forget that same. For then Mountjoy their battle cry was made, wherefore no nation can stand them for their face.
So what's interesting about his sword?
It changes color 30 times a day.
Isn't that crazy?
It's like prismatic.
It's like what? Oh, like a
You're thinking
prism?
the same thing.
Like it's like prismatic. Like the
Okay, that's a good way to think of it. What's the name of the sword? Joyous, or Joyeuse, if you're French. What's the name of their war cry? You see the connection between those two words? Also, number 62, we didn't answer that. We know how the Spanish soldiers died. How does their death seem to correspond to the way they've been characterized throughout the story? Not in every single case, but for the most part.
They die like fleeing, it makes them like cowardly.
That's right. The book is trying to paint a picture that's inaccurate, but the picture is that they were cowards. All right, so we'll go to Sean.
The night is clear and the moon shining bright. Charles lies awake and weeps for Roland's plight. For Oliver he weeps with all his might, weeps his 12 peers, his French foe left behind. And Ronclavox slain bloodily in fight, he cannot help but mourn for them and sigh, and pray God bring their souls to paradise. The king is weary, the grief weighs on his eyes. He can no more, he sleeps after a while. And all the French sleep in the field likewise. There's not a horse has strength to stand upright. grass, they crop it as they lie. He that has suffered learns many things in life.
So Charlemagne goes to sleep at night, and we were both wrong. I thought you had read this part. We did read about two dreams. There were two earlier dreams, but these are two different dreams. So what you see here is what applies to what you're about to read. He has two dreams back to back, and they are symbolic. So, all right. So Leroy, you can read the first dream.
What part?
185.
Arlen is sleeping as one more Olive Tree. Saint Gabriel comes sent from his heavenly seat to guard the emperor. By God's express decree, watch at his head all night the angel keeps and shows to him in likeness of a dream, a battle in which he will not meet. By grievous portents, the meaning is revealed. Looking to heaven stands falling, so it seems. There he beholds great gales and tempest beat, levin and hail and fearful storms and sleet, and fire and flame kindled falling in sheets all of a sudden upon his coast field, burning the lances of ash and apple beam. Even the gold bosses burning upon the shields, ripping asunder the shafts of the sharp spears, splitting the hauberks and helmets of steel. In great distress he sees the chivalry.
A little bit slower, maybe. It might be make sure we can do it.
Then to devour them come bears and leopards eating worms, wyverns, dragons, and devils from the deep, and 30,000 griffins along with bees. That on the French come, and all in each, the French cried, help, O Charlemagne, make speed. Anguish of heart and pity the king feels, fain what would he hasten, but fresh woes intervene. A mighty lion out of the forest leaps. Haughty and fierce, and terrible to see, his royal body would attack the beast. They clasp each other in battle, man to beast, nor can he tell whose top is bleed. Emperor slumbers, he wakes not from his sleep.
All right, so the first dream, they come in pairs. The first dream, there's only one, it's not on the board, is that the lion that attacks Ganelon, that attacks Charlemagne in the dream is Balagan. His name is on the board, but that's part of the second. So, yeah, it says Balagan is the lion, so that could help.
Who's Balagan?
Balagan is the emir. The emir is the lord of all Islam. There is no such thing in real life, but in this book there is. The Muslims don't have one like a pope, like the church, the whole church at one point did, and now the Roman Catholic Church does. All right, so what's going on in this first dream?
The tribe. No, that's the second dream.
It's like foreshadowing like a new battle.
A new battle is coming.
They get defeated and the lions eat their body.
Yeah, there's a lion attacking Charlemagne. They actually are fighting with each other. The lion is Balagan. Starts in heaven. So he looks up and he sees in his dream hail and storms and sleet and fire and flame and all this coming out of the sky. So that portended some awful event. And then, out of nowhere, come bears and leopards and worms, I assume are snakes, wyverns, I'm not sure what they are, dragons, devils, 30,000 griffins. So all these kind of Middle Earth type creatures come out and start to attack the French, and then the lion comes out and attacks Charlemagne. And that represents a battle that they are going to have to fight. And then we'll go to the second dream. Daniel.
After this vision, the emperor dreamed again that on that dais he stood in France, Athens, leading a bear bound with double chain, and from Ardennes 30 more bears there came. Each one of them spoke in a human way. Sire, give him back to us. They seemed to say, for in your hand he ought not to remain, for he is our kinsman, and we must give him aid. Out of this place,
Palace.
out of this palace, he sees a greyhound race, sees it attack the biggest bear a face. On the green grass beyond them all, straightway, the king beholds a wondrous fierce affray, but cannot tell which one will win the day. These things, God's angels to the good king display. Harlan sleeps on till bright morning breaks.
The second dream, I don't know that you could figure out what it's about. Anybody? It's not about the battle, it's something else.
So it's like Gamelon's trial, and
Well, it is. How did you figure that out?
because it said on the board it says Gamelon's bear, but they'll leave the bear with chains, and then the rest of the bears, which are probably their relatives,
That's right.
and then someone attacks Gamelon.
Very good. That's great reading. That's good thinking. Yes.
I knew it was the trial because I already have the notes in here and it says
Well,
it's.
well, good. So let me just remind you, that's gonna be the second or the last part, the last event in the book, sorry. The last event in the book is the trial of Gamelon, and he is the bear, and the greyhound that comes is called, his name is Thierry. He happens to be a Frenchman. Well, they're all French, but he happens to be in favor of Charlemagne. And the biggest bear is Pinabel. He happens to be in favor of Gamelon. This is called a trial by combat. You know what that is?
Well, I'm guessing
Like
they
if you
find
win.
it out.
Well, what is that? How does it work? Like if you have a trial by combat, what?
I don't know.
Whoever
But I'm
wins.
guessing the two people sent for like different sides, one of them's for Charlemagne, the other one's for Gamelon. They fight, and whoever wins, like, Gamelon might get a less severe punishment.
Good, very good. Yeah, so, remember David Goliath? Yeah, that was kind of a trial by combat. He says, Goliath says, if you can beat me, then you win. We'll withdraw. But if I beat you, we win. And they fight, but it doesn't end there. Then, David wins, and the troops actually fight each other. But the idea was God will determine who's right. Is it Ganelon or Charlemagne? Ganelon's being accused of treason. Charlemagne accused him. And so these two will fight, and whoever wins, it's like that will determine if Ganelon, as you say, is guilty or innocent. So these are his two dreams, and we'll go to Libby. Yes.
Marcel has fled the service town. Beneath an olive in the shade of the town, resigned the sword and sound, fire and blood. On the green grass lies Mr. His right hand gone, he must do back. For pain and loss of blood he falls in his Before him comes Queen Laminor,
That's his wife.
his spouse. Wails and laments and utters dismal sound. By 20,000 his followers stand around. They curse their pensions larger than big mounds. Apollion, Squardo, they make an exploit around. With ugly insults they threaten and shout. Aha, vile God, why must thou shame us now? Why let the rest of the boldest king of ours? To faithful servants, the general Lord our first. They snatch away his scepter and his crown. Twice hands hang him upon a cruel mound. And with big cudgels fell over upon the ground. Then with their feet trampled him on the ground. Hermione digs his carbuncle torn out. Into a ditch they blew away and the hound. For pigs and dogs to mangle the ground.
Good. So answer to question 65. We've said that we should know this. Why is his loss of his right hand symbolic? You know that, Ben?
Because it's like, also like losing the right hand man, and the right hand was the one used, but
Right?
it was the one used with the glove to like slap the guy.
Yes, very good. Yeah.
Marcelian killed Roland, and Roland was Charlemagne's right hand man. That was like take away his most trusted person, like his right hand.
Yes, except remember, he didn't kill him. That was the plan to kill him. Now, Roland will die, but it won't be because Marcelian killed him.
Or he died.
What?
Or he died. Didn't he die?
Roland?
Yeah.
He jumped in.
Yeah, you're right, he died, but it wasn't that's right. Roland, Marcelian didn't kill him, but You're right, everything else what you said is absolutely right, that because it's sort of ironic, again, you reap what you sow. Look at, what do they do? This is strange. What do they do? What do the people of Saragossa do at this point? Yeah, Lily.
They cursed France and all the people.
And who else do they curse?
Queen, Baron,
Marceline.
God.
Their own gods. Yeah, it's not, I don't know that, I can't see that they curse Marsilian, but they curse their gods. Apollyon specifically is mentioned, Mahoon is mentioned, as well as Termagant. Those are the three gods. So they turn on their gods. God didn't answer their prayer. Their gods didn't help them. They lost. And so they go to the gods, you know, where the temples are, and they break their statues. Yes.
So on 66, is it supposed to be contrast, not contrast?
Yeah. But we'll do that. In number 181, when the French beat Marsilian's army, what was their response? You remember? Says the noble king dismounts and gives God thanks, kneeling upon the ground. When he arises, he finds the sun gone down. So they thank their God because they won, but we should thank God whether we win or lose. But they turn on their gods. The Saracens turn on their gods. So that's the contrast. Yeah.
And I understand where we contrast these, but one of them lost more than one, so I think it's not really an equal contrast.
That's a good point. I see what you're saying. The question just asks, respond, react, show how they differ. So, yeah, you're right. And I think the point would be, though, if as Christians lose, how should we respond to our God? We're only going to thank Him when we win.
With faith, we should still trust in God even after we lose battles.
Yeah, what kind of people would we be if we turned against God if we didn't get what we wanted?
Faithful.
That wouldn't be very faithful. We would be phonies. So that's going to happen. We'll go to Charlotte.
The King Marsilian recovers.
Just a little louder.
The King Marsilian recovers from his fainting. He bids them bear into his vaulted chamber, that in bright colors is all inscribed and painted. And near his wife, Queen Garmon, bewails him. She tears her hair and cries, "Ah, wretched lady!" And at each word loudly laments her, saying, "Ah, Saragossa, desolate thou remainest, for this great king that was thy Lord and safeguard. Truly our gods have acted very vastly, who in the battle this day forsook and failed him. And the Emir will show himself a craven, not to give battle unto this race courageous, who are so reckless. They hold their lives as playthings. Yet in this emperor of theirs, his ancient graybeard is so overweening and carries him so bravely. He'll never flee if war is in the warning. The last will flee, and there is none to slay him.
Just going back to that word Y-E-A, circle that, because you'll see it a lot. I think, yeah, when somebody asks you, are you coming with me? You say, yeah. We would spell that Y-E-A-H. So when you see Y-E-A, it's probably yea, like lo. You see, Shakespeare, some of them, lo, there's an angel. It's just an exclamation, exclamatory remark. It doesn't really mean anything.
Where's that?
I don't have a line number, top of page 151.
It's, and
Like-
then when it says, who is the Emir, how is he connected with King Marsilian? Isn't that like we said, the leader or the lord of the Muslims?
Yes, and when, I guess not Charlotte, but Lily's gonna read this next, and we'll find out his connection to the story in the next stanza.
The Emperor Charles had force of arms and skill, full 7 years known in Spain as sojourn still, made many a city and many a castle note. Marseille
All right, so can someone fill us in on the relationship between Marsilian and this Emir Valiant? Lily?
He sends a letter to Amir to come and help them or
Yeah.
aid them in some way. And basically, he's really old and wise.
Yes, it's taken him 6 or 7 years to get there. Says there's been delay, that's a long delay, but he's about to get there. So he's come to help Marsilian, even though Marsilian's army is destroyed. And it says in 68, we'll find out why is he coming to fight Charlemagne. And we'll find that out in a minute when Sarah reads.
Here are the forces of the tested race, the Paynim scholars steering with oars and sail. On the tall prows and on the mast they raise, unnumbered when attempting carved purples ablaze. High overhead they throw out such a flame, the sea by night is beautiful and gay. And when they draw up onto the land of Spain, the whole coast shines and glitters in the rays. Marcel hears the news that they are on the way.
So they're there. Didn't take them long after, took them 6 years, and then here they are. So it's a huge armada sails into Spain. Carter.
The Paynim thus press on with all their might. They leave the sea, the freshets, now they find. They leave Margrees, they leave Margrees behind, and up the Ebro the whole fleet turns and glides. With carbuncles and countless lanterns bright, from dusk to dawn they have an abundant light. Then the next day in Saragossa lie.
Thanks. Luke.
Start at 192.
Yes.
Clear as the day, the sun shines fair to see. Forth of the ship, the great Amram proceeds. At the night right hand, there goes Espenolise, and 17 kings follow him at the heel. I cannot reckon what dukes and counts them there. In a fair meadow beneath the laurel tree, a snow white cloth is spread on a green leaf, and in it they place the throne of victory, or of ivory. Their elegant the Paynim takes a seat, and his whole train stands round him on their feet. First of them, all their lord and master speaks. Now let him listen, my valiant knight and free. The Emperor Charles that holds the Franks and feet shall not eat bread except I give him leave. He weird against me in Spain, right grievously, and now to fair France go I. His might to me, and while I live from war, I will not cease till he be dead or living, even to me. With his right glove he smites upon his knee.
So the question is, what's his goal? He's come to fight Charlemagne. Yeah.
His goal is to either kill him or imprison him.
Right. That's it. And we'll go to number 19, 8.
He speaks and swears on oath to his effect that he'll not fail for all the gold neath heaven. To go to Aix where Carlin courts are held, his men applauding advise just what he says. Now has he summoned 2 knights from out the rest, Clarifence one, the other Clarion. You are the sons of that king Marchland, who oft as envoys served me with glad consent. To Saragossa I bid you journey hence, and as from me this to Marsilian tell, that to his aid I've come, against the French great war I'll wage, where I light on them. Give him this folded glove with golden hems on his right hand, make sure you see it set. Give him his wand of purest gold of blood. Bid him come seek me and hear his filthy blood. I go to France to fight Charles to the death, if at my feet he bow not down his neck. If he renounce not the faith of Christian men, then will I take the crown from off his head. The Paynim say, sir, that is right well said.
Yeah, I heard some of you chuckling at something. Can you explain it?
Well, basically, he sent 2 men to go tell King Marcellin that he was going to defeat Charlemagne.
Yeah.
And he said, take his golden glove and put it in his right hand, because he doesn't have a right hand.
That's right. It's not a good omen. You know, that's not not a good, so we need, as much as we'd love to stay and keep reading. Good job with that. We're gonna make some progress this week. The goal is Thursday, I am gonna give you a review sheet. Even if we're not finished, we'll be close to finishing. And so the test, I've already scheduled it, I think I need to look. All right, it's either next Wednesday or Thursday, I'll check that.